As this is our Korea Partnership Day, and in Korea, meetings start on time, I'd like to start the meeting. Let me start with a little anecdote. In 2018, we organized Global Green Growth Week in Ethiopia. It was a very good, busy week, and we had one dinner which was offered by the Korean embassy. It would start at, I think, 7:30, and at 7:25, I went to the room, but because the meeting was more run on African time, most meetings were running over, and the big ballroom was empty, except there was one person standing behind the rostrum, the Korean ambassador who was speaking the welcoming words, and he was just about to get started at exactly the right time. And I talked to him and said, Your Excellency, maybe we should wait a little bit till the people have come in the room. And he was like, I was asked to speak at 7:30. I'm about to speak at 7:30. And it was quite difficult for him, I think, to delay. And I'm just telling you that because, of course, we're always dealing with different cultures and different expectations and different ways in how we approach all those interactions, right? And effective partnerships only happen if we understand both sides and if we're able to build bridges across languages, across cultural expectations, and so on. At GGI, we are very pleased that we have gradually been able to build a very strong partnership, not only with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which has always been our focal ministry and our very strong partner, but also with KOICA, that's still very close to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, but also with the Ministry of Economy and Finance, with the Korea Forest Service, with the Korean Ministry of Agriculture, with the Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries. And I'll stop here, but I am not at the end of the list. But there are so many Korean organizations that are involved in ODA. And frankly, under each of the ministries, there's usually one or two Korean institutes which are implementing the ODA on behalf of the ministry. For Koreans, that might even be complicated. For many of our partner countries, they tend to think that all Korean ODA comes through KOICA. And if we explain that there are actually many other sources of Korean ODA, that we could build partnerships with other ministries, they are often a little mystified. Of course, Korean government naturally would also like to work together with Korean organizations who can implement Korean ODA. So there are the ministries, there are their institutions that implement, and then there are all the NGOs and other good partners in the field. And gradually, we are working with quite a few Korean NGOs to implement ODA as well. So it's kind of complicated. In addition, Korea has quite a few countries where it is strong, where there is a good KOICA office and where I think Korea is very well aware of what's going on. And then there are other countries where there is no KOICA office or where there isn't a very good Korean organization on the ground. And there is still an interest from the Korean government to cooperate with those countries. And in those countries, GGI may very well be able to form partnerships between our member countries and their organizations and the Korean government. Actually, a lot of our GGI colleagues used to think that, when we go to another donor, we usually see this is their list of priority countries. So we should focus on those priority countries because that is where the donor would like to fund. However, we have had discussions also with our, particularly through our Korea liaison unit, that as Korea has priority countries where there are a lot of Korean partners, probably they would prefer for GGI to work in countries which are not priority countries. That sounds very counterintuitive for many of us. So I'm sharing with you some of the questions that are in people's heads, and it is this that prompted us 2 years ago to say, in addition to having a Green Growth Week that focuses on all the substance and on sharing the successes of our member countries, which we have done from Monday through Wednesday and partly yesterday, and then having our Governance Day with our Council and Assembly yesterday, let's use the Friday for a partnership day. And we had imagined that it could be Korea, but it could also be other donors that could use the opportunity to engage, to build more bridges between the different GGI member countries. You know, this is not only for GGI staff. That was one idea we had at one point, but actually I'm very pleased to see the Vice Minister from Laos, Ramutavong, sit here. She is interested, and there are others here in the room who are not GGI staff, but who are representatives from our member countries, who are keen to understand better how to partner better with Korean ODA agencies and with Korean partner organizations. So that's really what we're hoping to do today, to build bridges, to improve understanding, to seek opportunities to work better as Korea is striving to be a global pivotal nation, as Korea is increasing the share of its green ODA. There are many opportunities for our member countries to work more closely with Korea, but we do have to understand how that works. For that, we have a few mechanisms in GGI as well, and you'll learn a lot more about these today. One important one is that we have created a Korea liaison unit inside GGI, and that unit is helpful for many of our member countries and for Korean ministries to improve the communication and improve understanding. And you'll learn more about what KLU, as we call them, Korea Liaison Unit, is doing during this day as well. And we're having a mechanism called the Korea Green New Deal Fund. That's our key partnership with the Ministry of Economy and Finance, which is helping with basically project preparation funds to prepare projects in our member countries that can be financed. Very kindly, the Korean government hasn't made that a tied aid fund, so it can be financed not only by Korea, but also by others. But obviously, the Ministry of Economy and Finance would like to see that some of those projects are funded through Korean Exim Bank or through other organizations in Korea. That again requires a level of understanding of how that works. That is, I think, quite important to know, because we quite often hear Korean Exim Bank has large amounts of money reserved for specific countries that aren't necessarily always used. You know, that is a key message we often hear. From the funder side, there's a lot of money, not enough good projects. From the member country side, they have long lists of projects, not enough money. So that in the end is a core part of the mission of GGI, to bring those things together, to help our member countries come with better bankable projects and have the investors find projects that actually fit with their investment profiles and meet their criteria for good investments. So KGNDF, Korea Green New Deal Fund, as its name was at the time, I think now we might call it, did we still call it KGNDF, or would you prefer another name? We've also said the Korea GGI Trust Fund as governments change, but I think we know what we mean. The essence is it's a key mechanism to help advance project preparation between many of our countries and financiers, including Korean ones. So you'll hear a lot more today about KLU and about KGNDF and about KOICA and about the different ministries. And hopefully you'll get a chance to build bridges today that will be helpful in years to come. And we'll see strong partnerships arise. Now, I had 15 minutes, so there's a few more. And I'm curious to see if there are key questions that anybody has. What are your expectations of today? What would you like to know by the end of the day that you don't know yet? Is there any spontaneous question, or shall I look for volunteers? As usually in these meetings, first question is for but I know that I can always rely on Madame Outavon to speak, and I would like you, if you don't mind, to just share what your expectations for the day are, just briefly, if you don't mind.
Thank you very much, Dr. Frank Wisperman, DG of DTGI. Very good morning to everybody. So I'm always happy and honored to be here with you. And thank you very much for inviting me additional day for this very important partnership day. The word partnership is always meaningful. Partnership between the countries, partnership between friends, family members. So I have shared many things during the Green Week. However, I'm honored to share very briefly that Laos is very grateful to all the support, from DGI, as you mentioned, Dr. Frank, DG Frank, the donors, development partners, and Laos and other countries as a recipient always, have a long list. So GGI help us not just to develop the strategy itself, but also to incorporate to the development plan and also to work with the third parties to bring more support technically and financially. So I'm very glad to be here and honored again. And once again, thank you very much for everything. And your team, I'm very glad to have your DG, DDG, and member of GGI, and of course, GGI member family. So I'm glad again to be here and look forward to learn from you the good expertise and also to take note on recommendation and frank advice for us for further improvement to make the world, one world in Laos, and of course, our world more greener and sustainable. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody that would like to put their hand up or would volunteer to say just a few words? Did I ask you? Or no? Your choice. There's a hand there.
I thought I was making, I was making a remarks over there, so.
Are you going to make remarks?
I heard that.
If you prefer, then do that.
But
Your choice.
I'm gonna get.
Just some informal comments if you like. If you don't want to this.
Actually, yeah. Yeah, I heard that today's event will start 9 o'clock, so I got here 8:35. So, but there were only a few people here, so I'm 100% Korean. Yes.
That's already very interesting.
Right,
I
right,
came here at 9. I was 9, right before 9.
right. So, yeah, and I prepared my remarks. So if you do not mind, then later.
Program, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Then,
Now I was doing a very non-Korean thing by just asking people to say a few words. You were very ready to be, you demonstrated very much. You were here at 8:35 because it was starting at 9. Thank you for sharing. And you also shared with me before you were involved a long time ago in setting up GGI. So let me just say the other way around. Thank you very much for all your support from Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and through you, I'd like to thank Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And you will do your prepared remarks in the program when you're ready. Is that okay? Thank you.
I will thank the Korean government through KOICA support and a joint support within GGI and KOICA. So we have very good project regarding urban development, solid waste management in Vientiane capital, in Pak Se. And we have, worked closely with Line Ministry. So look forward to your support. ODA is still our important source of development. So thank you very much for
It's great honor to hear that this morning. As you all know that Korea is actually the only one country in the world who were transitioned from a recipient country to a donor country right now. So we are very proud of our experience, and we are ready to share our experience and know-how with other developing countries. And GGGI is one of the key partners of Korean government to do this. And we are very proud to be as founding member and supporter of GGGI. And
Yeah. Yes. And you can follow up a little bit and share more. You see, what I'm trying to do is not a Korean thing, to have more spontaneous conversation and to talk about things. And I hope that you'll do a lot more of that today. And yes, you made the point that Korea is one of the few countries that in a record time has transitioned from very poor to very wealthy. And I know that countries like Ethiopia take Korea as the model. They don't want to be like Belgium or the Netherlands. They want to be like Korea, right? And every day when I take the metro and I stand next to the place reserved for elderly people, I'm very aware that the people that sit there in the metro, like Mr. Baum, grew up in a time when there were not even schools, He went to primary school under a tree after the war in Korea destroyed buildings. So the enormous development that elderly people in Korea have seen, I'm always extremely impressed with. So Korea has a lot to share, from tree planting to other things. Yes.
opportunity. Once again, thank you very much for warm hospitality from GGI and Korean colleagues. So thank you very much for everything, and look forward to your further support and assistance. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I will release these two ladies, and thank you for participating with me in our little experiment today. Now, Mathieu actually wanted to speak. He's French, they never are lost for words.
In particular, the one living in Mongolia. So I'm country rep for Mongolia. So Mongolia is actually a recipient country, and I've been quite successful in getting support from Korea. But beyond the money, I think that the Korean aid is also very valued because of the know-how transfer that it could imply. So you were asking what we are expecting. So for me, it's to know how can we maximize at GGI this potential know-how transfer in terms of technology, but sometimes it's also capacity building. That's very important. And secondly, also on the modality of project implementation. For example, the UNDP rep is, I think, now in KOICA. So, and many projects actually are implemented by UNDP. But each time I meet a KOICA, sorry to speak only about KOICA, but they have a big office in Mongolia, they are quite disappointed by UNDP project implementation capacity, but still they give more to them. So what we should do to show that we are actually more agile, better, more flexible, to really fit your needs as donor. And I'm not aware of each ministry. I heard about the forestry, etc. So that's what I would like to learn from you. Thank you.
Great. And then indeed, one of the questions is, Mongolia is a priority country for Korea, and there are many Korean organizations that are implementing ODA there. And I think what GGI should do is not only look at Korean donors, but also build more strong partnerships with Korean aid implementing agencies, from Korea Better World to quite a few others that we work with. We should build more bridges to Korean ODA implementing agencies. I'm finding at least one more person to embarrass today. That's Wunju. So she has 5 seconds to think about what she's going to say. And I'd like her to maybe just say what you expect out of this day as a member of our Korea liaison unit.
Thank you very much for this valuable opportunity to speak in front of many people here today. Thank you, Frank. This isn't the first time where we had our Korea Partnership Day. We've had this for a few years, like you've mentioned in your opening speech. And every time we've had that, I think we've actually had a very fruitful conversation, not only between GGI, but also with our external partners, especially with our Korean partners. And I think we see that happen more and more. And hopefully today, I think we have that opportunity again. And as you have mentioned, we hoped that GGI also learn from the, I guess, the know-hows of the Korean partners, how to do projects with our Korean partners. But also, I think it's good to have not only GGI and Korean partners, but amongst the Korean partners, I think it's good to have that networking and partnerships. And I think that would hopefully grow more and today have another fruitful kind of partnership day. So thank you very much, everyone, for today. And hopefully we'll have something to take back with us today after the whole partnership day. Thank you.
See? Well done. Thank you very much, Wunju. I know my time is up, but I'm too tempted, you know. I'm going to ask Okdeni here to do a minute or two in Korean. Speak maybe. So Denny here, Daniel, studied in Korea and has been with GGI for a long time. You think you can say a word or two about your experience working with Korean partners? And just do it in Korean. How's that?
안녕하세요. 예, 전 오케추쿠 다니엘 원내 그 GGI 이티오피아 컨트리 다이렉터 그 한국에 사태 14년 살았는데 그 한국 정부 일 같이 하는 거는 그 좋은 경험 많이 받았어요. 그래서 맨날 이런 모임 있었는데 새로운 경험, 새로운 많은 것들을 받는데 그 아프리카에 같은 전부들 다른 기회가 한국에서 기억했나요? 그 오늘은 많은 것은 기대하고 정말 기쁘고 좀 답답해요. 그래서 정말 감사합니다.
So Daniel is a product of Korea's investment in foreign students. He came to Korea as a Nigerian student. He studied here and he then joined GGI, and he's been having a long career at GGI. And those are the kind of resources that GGI has that can build bridges between Korea and our member countries. Now, indeed, I spotting here, sitting in the back, the minister from the Philippines. Would you like to just say a few words about your interest in working with Korean partner organizations? Minister.
Thank you. My greetings in Fijian to all of you. Mbola benaka. Ketu marota kabakali buna bengarabini triple GI. So to translate that, greetings to all of you. We are happy with the work done by Triple GI in the Pacific, not only the Pacific, but also Fiji, in terms of especially the Pacific is facing huge challenges in terms of climate change. Yesterday, we had our colleague from Kiribati and also Tuvalu. These are basically atolls. At some places, when you throw a stone from this beach, it reaches on the other side. So that's, and they had mentioned that they bought land in Fiji. but Fiji too is facing challenges. So it's probably a sign of cooperation among Pacific Island countries to help each other. But Triple GI today, I'm here just to learn. Our assembly as political leaders, ministers finished yesterday, but I'm happy to be here and also learn. I didn't want to say I'm looking for money. I shouldn't say that, but I said it. But anyway, that's a rude way of saying it. But yeah, seriously, we are happy in terms of Triple GI's role in especially in matching our needs and also with the processes in place, especially on climate financing, which is quite complex, and ensure that whatever the Fiji government is putting up is also viable, and also projects which are worthwhile and which can be achieved in accordance with the protocols and compliances or regulations or conditions in place. And that's a great plus for Triple GI. They are based in Fiji too, and we are happy that they are there, and look forward for them to be there continuously and assist us as we move forward as Pacific Island nations. I think you said I'm from the Philippines. Thank you.
Quite aware you're from Fiji, Minister, and my apologies.
Okay. Okay.
The good thing I can tell you, as you are looking for money, thanks for bringing that up, is that one of the more recent partnerships that we have been trying to broker between the Pacific is with the Korean Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries. Is there anybody from the Korean Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries in the room today? So there's a person coming, and you should meet that lady, because there's actually a very nice project that was a bit uncertain, but the latest news is it'll go through. It'll focus on marine sustainable transportation, particularly making harbors in the Fiji and a few other countries greener and reduce the emissions from there. That's a big project. It's gone through some up and downs, but our latest messages are it'll be starting now soon. So there is an actual project you can discuss, and that's a good example. Who had thought that the Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries was going to do Green ODA project in the Pacific, but it will. There are many interesting opportunities to take advantage of. Thank you, Minister. Thank you for coming today. Well, as you can see, I could easily have started at 9. And as I told Jayuk, I think he said 9:15 not to embarrass me and, stand there with nothing to say. People who know me know that that's never the case. I'm at heart an entertainer, so you tell me how long I have to speak and I'll fill the time. But mostly, thank you, Vice Minister, Madame, Minister, Wunju, Mathieu, for starting the conversation, because I'm hoping the day that we'll not only have presentations and for you to listen, but you're sitting around these tables to have conversations and hopefully begin to forge links of friendship and partnership, which is so much easier in person than through email or through exchange of documents. So with apologies to my colleagues for overstaying my time, I'll give it back to you, Jayuk.
Opening remarks. So please give one more warm applause to Frank Rees-Mogg, Director General. Our first session is originally Korea Green New Deal Trust Fund, but I know that the time is already run out. But I think that Director General Min Young-han from Ministry of Foreign Affairs prepared for her speech in GGGI. So I think it would be better for people to listen to her view on GGGI instead of my presentation. So I can reduce my time. So Min Young-han, floor is yours.
Thank you very much. But actually, at this time, we might not need the another remarks thanks to DG's introduction, but I will just deliver these remarks because my colleague, Mr. Kim, have been working around the clock for this Green Growth Week. So I will try to deliver these remarks for. So distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's great honor to address you today at the Korea Day of the Global Green Growth Institute. On behalf of the government of the Republic of Korea, I extend my deepest appreciation to GGGI for organizing this important event, which reflects our shared commitment to advancing sustainable development and green growth on a global scale. The Republic of Korea holds GGGI in high regard as a valued partner in our collective efforts to combat climate change and facilitate a global green transition. Under the exceptional leadership of Dr. Frank Reisberman, GGGI has made significant strides in building capacity for green growth across member countries, and we are proud to have contributed meaningfully to this success. In line with our vision of serving as a green ladder for developing countries, the Korean government has increased its core contribution to GGGI to $13.5 million this year. Additionally, as our DG mentioned, various Korean ministries and agencies are actively collaborating with GGGI to implement green ODA projects worldwide, reinforcing our commitment to global climate action. This November, we'll host the fifth and final Intergovernmental Negotiating Committee in Busan, aiming to conclude the Treaty on Plastic Pollution by the end of this year. And I know that we are going to discuss more on this issue this afternoon, and my colleague from our ministry will introduce to you what we are preparing for this important meeting. These initiatives align with our national strategy under the vision of becoming a global pivotal state, underscoring Korea's dedication to sustainable development through international cooperation. Looking ahead, as a founding member and host country, the Republic of Korea will remain a steadfast supporter of GGGI. We are committed to strengthening the Institute's capacity to help countries around the world address climate challenges and achieve sustainable growth. This leadership transition signifies a new chapter for GGGI, building on the strong foundation laid by Dr. Reisberman. His tireless efforts have advanced the organization's mission and have left a lasting legacy. As we welcome Professor Kim Sang-yeop as a new Director General, we are confident that GGGI will continue to evolve, guided by both continuity and fresh perspectives. Together, this will ensure that GGGI remains well-positioned to meet the evolving needs of its members. Ladies and gentlemen, the path toward a greener future lies before us. Let's embark on this journey together with collaboration and solidarity. I wish you all have a very successful and productive discussion and a good event today. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Director General Han, Minister of Foreign Affairs, for valuable your remarks towards GGGI. Today's first session is about Korea Green New Deal Trust Fund. I'm Jae-ok Choi, and Head of Finance, Director of Financial Collaboration and Outreach, and Manager of Korean Green New Deal Trust Fund. Korea Green New Deal Trust Fund is established within GGI in 2022. And donated by Ministry of Economic Finance of Republic of Korea, $5 million for 5 years. And this facility pursues on green transition, global green transition through strategic investment, combining innovative financial solution with robust policy support. So what I observed, 2.5 years, what I observed, two important key themes this week within GGGI is first one is green growth in times of uncertainty, that sentence. And another one is how to catalyze climate finance. I think Korea Green New Deal Trust Fund pioneered and showed a bit of clue what could be achieved way forward. So Korea Green New Deal Trust Fund is the first multi-year program earmark fund in GGGI, and that can be used in diverse purposes. Korea Green New Deal Trust Fund shows flexible and swift response toward complex circumstances, and also it shows diverse ways of materializing climate finance. So today's session, we need to use our time effectively. I will give a Korea Green New Deal Trust Fund overview, and afterwards, the NSD LinkNet, Regional Representative Green Investment and West Africa Program, will introduce ICRF program in Africa. And afterwards, online, I'm sure ADAP, Special Assignment to Indonesia, will give a power sector reform project in India. And also Latin America, Omar Raul Hernandez Garcia will give a green bond program in GGGI. And also, finally, the transportation portfolio will be shown by Chang Sun-jang, our COP lead in transport. But before we start, one of the important things is I will introduce Director of Green Climate Policy Division, Minister of Economic Finance of Korea, Tae-Hoon Kim, will give a congratulatory remarks. Please give a warm welcome to Tae-Hoon Kim.
안녕하세요. Distinguished guest, I'm Tae-Hoon Kim, the Director of the Green Climate Policy Division of the Ministry of Economy and Finance. Also, at the same time, I'm serving as a board member representing for Korea in GCF and Adaptation Fund, and at the same time, Climate Investment Fund within World Bank. First and foremost, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to Director General Dr. Frank Reisberman for organizing the Global Green Growth Week event. And I extend my heartfelt congratulations on this important occasion. It is a great pleasure to be invited to this distinguished event. And I'm delighted to meet such esteemed guests today. I remember in 2008, then President of Republic of Korea proposed the vision of low emission, low carbon green growth as a global agenda. And as a part of this initiative, announced the establishment of GGGI as a dedicated think tank. We watched this proposal well received in international society and leading to the official launch of the GGGI in 2012 as international organization of promote green growth in developing countries and addressing climate change. To support GGGI in achieving its mission, the Ministry of Economy and Finance established the Korea Green New Deal Fund in 2022, committing approximately $25 million over 5 years. On this occasion, it is a pleasure to briefly introduce the diverse pipeline of a project and outcomes supported by GGGI and Korea. Since the establishment of this trust fund, 46 projects has been approved over the past 2.5 years. This project spans various sectors, including energy initiatives like floating solar, wind power, and green hydrogen, as well as e-mobility, green bond, and the policy development support in regions such as Asia, Africa, and Latin American Caribbean. As a result, GGGI's initiative have led to tangible outcomes such as approval of projects by the Green Climate Fund, linkage to loans from multilateral development bank like World Bank and ADBs, and the issuance of green bond. Especially, I'm very happy whenever I review the GCF, the proposals have some linkage with GGGI, and even I found that some projects have a linkage with the adaptation fund. Additionally, this effort have supported the developing countries by attracting investment, reducing carbon emissions, creating green jobs, and advancing policy framework. I would like to kindly request that the GGGI continue its effort to leverage the trust fund in both designing and systematically managing green growth project. I also hope that the representative of various countries and the relevant Korean institution attending today will actively make use of GGGI's trust fund. Lastly, I would like to share a traditional Korean proverb, 명견말리, which means to see 1,000 miles with clarity. In this uncertain time marked by climate change, I trust that GGGI will serve as a guiding light, providing the clear vision needed to see far into future. Once again, congratulations on this successful hosting of Global Green Growth Week 2024. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Director Kim, for your nice speech. So I'm Ji-hyun Kim, working as an investment analyst at GGGI, and I'll be your moderator on today's session. So now I'd like to, so we are moving on to the presentation now. And now I'd like to briefly outline our presentation format. Each speaker will have a designated time slot for the presentation. And to ensure we stay on schedule, I will give a gentle reminder when there is 1 minute remaining for each presentation. So now I'd like to call upon Jae-hyuk Choi, Director of Financial Collaboration and Outreach and Management at GGGI, to provide us with an introduction to KGNDF. So Director Choi, you have 10 minutes for the presentation. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Tae-Hoon Kim. Your vision of 명경만리, the long distance with while in uncertain world, we will think about that theme, in our work. And Korea Green New Deal Fund achievement and lessons. I'm going to present today GGGI, but we don't have time to talk about it. And KGNDF overview and project and key achievement and lessons. That's what I'm going to present today. Everybody knows this. GGGI is a trustee advisor and working for government, and we have 48 member countries and working at 65 countries. And this is a GGGI work scope. This is for external audience that GGGI, are now well familiar with the GGGI, but we are working in diverse areas and also working for investment and also policy work. And Article 6 is one of our important work. And KGNDF, it has been established in 2022 and Ministry of Economic Finance, and 6 billion Korea won, that is approximately $5 million per year for 5 years. So it's totally about 23 to 25 million per exchange rate. And Gyeongnam-shin has been made a signing agreement with Ministry of Finance in 2022. You can see a picture, and this is working for carbon neutrality, green growth, and climate adaptation. And window one, this is a three component. Window one is an investment project and pursues large scale bankable project. And window two is a climate finance from financing facilities. I mean, that is linked with GCF, JEP adaptation fund. And window three is a policy framework. I mean, that can help national adaptation plan and LTLEDS and employment impact and green impact. So, I mean, yeah, KGNDF, I mean, 1 or 2 times call per year, and the process is after call, application, MTGGI internal review and MT review, and finally goes to MOEF review, and there are several steps in MOEF. And yeah, until now, it is 46 projects and around 10 million US dollar have been approved. And among 46 projects, I mean, 12 projects already completed. So we can talk about the achievement of those completed projects. So, I mean, among 46 projects are combined, divided by sustainable energy. I mean, it is a main portion, around 38% sustainable energy, and green investment such as green bond and sustainable bond is around 15%, and e-mobility that Changsan is leading is around 13%. And yeah, green building, climate action, and green industry, and climate smart agriculture are composed of 5 to 9%. And yeah, about the window, I mean, window one bankable project, I mean, majority among 46, I mean, around 30 projects are window one project, and window two is around 10, and window three is around 6 projects. So the preference for window one is high in Korea Green New Deal Trust Fund. So in terms of a project, I mean, I will give you a brief list. I mean, in energy, there are renewable energy, such as India, 600 megawatt floating solar project, and it has been bidded out already for phase 1, 300 megawatt, and phase 2, 300 megawatt. And in Colombia, large wind farm project, 1 gigawatt. I mean, GGI also is part of this work, and also green hydrogen, India, Indonesia, Morocco, Nepal, Kenya. I mean, we are doing a green hydrogen project over there. And in terms of energy efficiency, I mean, India power sector reform and will be presented by later, and also ESCO mechanism project. Methane pledge initiative, we are doing our work in Kazakhstan and Nigeria to reduce methane emission from oil and gas sector. In sustainable finance, I mean, we have done our work in Mexico, NAFIN, I mean, in Latin America, we'll present it later. In Peru, LAC region, we have been successful in issuing green bond. And GCF fund in Africa region, ICRF work has been done, and Antit will give a presentation later. And also e-mobility, Changsan is doing a lot of work, and with the country team, definitely, project manager in country team. So a lot of e-mobility work is going on over there. And yeah, in plastic, Philippines, Indonesia, and biochar, new project biochar is working on in Vietnam. And research and analysis work and policy document work is done in Colombia, Ethiopia, and Laos PDR, and Pakistan. And Pakistan, yeah, in terms of various area of policy analysis. So if we think about the outcome of the KGNDF's achievement, the first one is a strategic outcome of GGGI, how it has been aligned with the strategic outcome. I mean, in terms of GGGI's carbon emission reduction, I mean, we have achieved 28 million tons of CO2 emission reduction with the various projects. And also, I mean, adaptation to climate change, 47 million individuals are benefited for this project until now. And also increasing access to sustainable service, 260,000 individuals are benefited for this. And also green jobs has been produced with this project, 58K people. In addition to that, one of the other majority investment mobilization work is done. I mean, GIS lead Nishan is leading in this area. And yeah, many projects such as India 600 megawatt floating solar project, and Mexico Nothing Band, Africa ICRF, Mexico EVA split, India power sector reform, Peru sustainable agriculture program, India ESCO, Indonesia geothermal project, and Colombia, Paraguay thematic band program contributed to building investment commitment mobilization, approximately US $1.55 billion until now. And this is a case of the investment, but I'll not go in detail because some of them will be presented later by our presenters. And the third contribution is a policy contributions. As I told, there is a policy work in GGI. So in Vietnam, the ETS development program is undergoing, and Lao PDR, National Adaptation Planning, and Green Growth Strategy, National Green Growth Strategy Planning revision is done. And also Ethiopia, the climate smart agriculture impact on job research is going with this program. And another area that is with KGNDF is a partnership and new initiative. In terms of partnership, during the week, we are working with World Bank to connect the JGGI project preparation facility with the World Bank loan. And also we have approval from GCF. And also we are working with the Korean agency, KSP, Kaesong Bank. And also we are working with CTCN in a scientific approach by co-funding, and also USTDA bilateral agency, and also OECD in terms of research. And also this pursues a new initiative, very flexible and adopting new initiative. Within GGI, Green Hydrogen is a first project by KGNDF, and also sustainable finance. It has been successful through KGNDF, and also using this success, it has gone to additional fund from Luxembourg fund, based on the success of this KGNDF's achievement. And methane, pledge, and biodegradable plastic, and biochar, this cooling is a new first project that has been tried in GGI. And so the final lesson, the KGNDF plays as a role of diverse catalyst for climate finance, like a project financing, and also finance institute building, like ICRF, and MDB linkage with a loan and climate finance facilities such as not just GCF, but JEF, and also co-funding with diverse agencies. And also issues of flexibility and safety response to uncertain world. So tried innovative approach and new initiative. It can try diverse measure. And also, but from now on, there is a way to go. Then these impact and quality project. So, KGNDF always welcome good idea from countries and also project team members. And also, we are preparing for external publication that can success stories can be shown and disseminated to outside the world. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Director Chen, for that comprehensive overview of the KGNDF. Next, we will hear from Antti Ernst Inkinen, the regional representative of Green Invest and West Africa program at GGGI. And Mr. Inkinen will present the case study on GGGI Africa portfolio. Mr. Inkinen, you have 5 minutes for your presentation. Yes, sorry. And the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I thought you told me 7. Distinguished guest, Aningong Haseo. Can't match Daniel, but I try my best. My name is Antti Inkinen. I'm the regional representative for Green Investments and West Africa program based in our Africa regional office in Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire. And GGGI, I think, lives by the strengths of its partnerships, which is even more important in these times of uncertainty in which we live. And I think the Korean partnership has a very special role within all that. So I just like to commend this day as a wonderful opportunity to discuss the past, the present, and the future, especially of this partnership. And I'm very pleased to have been given 5 minutes to to present one story that we consider a success in a partnership, particularly with the Korean Green New Deal Trust Fund. And that had to do with the establishment of the Infrastructure Climate Resilient Fund, the ICRF, where we worked to mobilize the catalytic concessional funding from the Green Climate Fund with support from the KGNDF. Now this matches and meets a very dire need in Africa in terms of the climate resilience needs. According to the WHO in 2022, about 60% of the world's directly affected populations by climate-induced events were in Africa. And considering that only 20% of those events took place in Africa, that is a very, very strong, compelling story of the gaps that exist in resilience. Similar gap exists in the financing, where the African Development Bank estimates the funding needs for climate for Africa to be at $270 billion per year, where only about 30 billion are actually mobilized on an annual level. The gaps are quite clear. For this private investment, private capital is obviously the necessary way to go, and to get that to find ways to match the capital with the good projects. Things like financing facilities that make the conditions attractive to private capital and lowering the threshold to investments is absolutely key. So the ICRF is an example of this type of solution, and it was established by the African Finance Corporation, our partner. So they're capital partners. That's a subsidiary that also serve as the fund. GGGI worked with KGNDF support with the AFC specifically on the climate side of the fund, and then very importantly leveraging a investment commitment of $240 million from the GCF. Quickly on the fund itself. So the objective is indeed to enhance the quality and longevity of the physical infrastructure by increasing the climate resilience and their ability to withstand the pressures caused by climate change events. And they focus on 4 main areas of investment aligned with the AFC's traditional focus areas. That's transport, renewable energy, industrial parks, economic zones, as well as telecoms and IT infrastructure. The fund is indeed a blended finance instrument that combines both concessional capital as well as this commercial capital. And the structure of the fund is indeed about the concessional financing, unlocking and lowering the threshold of the commercial funding to come through by ways of de-risking and then de-risking the commercial investments, and also shielding them from losses, so their loss and risk exposure. This is another illustration of the fund. You see the tranches there. The bottom half, or the bottom part there, is the junior equity. That's the first loss junior equity investment that was made then by the GCF, or the commitment that was made to $240 million. The target volume of the size of the fund is $750 million. So as you can see, it's the concessional part of it is envisaged to be around 1/3 of the total size of the fund, and 2/3 of commercial funding. The commercial investments and the concessional investments are treated differently. Like I said, that has to do with the risk exposure, as well as then the returns on investment, which range between 3% and 10% respectively. The fund then channels those.
1 minute.
Really? Okay. Through special purpose vehicles or umbrella companies then to deliver the projects in these areas. What GGGI did with KGNDF funding was really like a market scoping in a way that came to identifying and analyzing 8 different infrastructure asset classes across 24 different countries in Africa that are there in the fund's design. And then very importantly, a feasibility study of the fund itself, which made a stronger case for the GCF to come up with their funding. So that's the business case for the infrastructure financing. If the 750 million are reached, when they are reached, the estimated impact in terms of people will be about 200 million people in Africa, both directly and indirectly. The bulk of the investments would flow into the arguably very critical infrastructure and transport and logistics, that's roads, bridges and such, and then followed by energy systems, economic zones, and then industrial areas, as well as IT and telecoms infrastructure. Now, just to finish off, it's about partnerships and this being a success story. So our work ended about 18 months ago at the establishment of the fund around March last year. And where we are today is that we're not quite yet at the 750 million target, but yes, they have been able to now get investment commitments from institutional investors to the tune of $100 million. So currently the fund size is 340 million. The fund will be operational in the first quarter of 2025 and providing both financial as well as then technical assistance to the project developers to ensure the climate resilience integration into the projects. They will continue as they start investing and the fund becomes operational. They will continue with the fundraising activities as well to reach the 750 million or hopefully more. And we think there will be maybe other opportunities for partnerships, particularly with that project preparation phase now in which that they're going to go through the window one, as was presented earlier, actually. So maybe something to discuss in the future. But I just wanted to end up with just saying that if you look at the KGNDF investment into GGGI in this case was $300,000. And it was very strategic because it unlocked that first concessional investment by the GCF, which has now led to more investment. So the 300,000 could somehow be argued to have leveraged $350 million in investment commitments to date. So I think that is a success story, and I hope we will see many more like that in the future. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Inkinen, for sharing those valuable insights and also for your consideration for us to accommodate other speakers in the timely manner. Thank you. So we will now talk to our online presenter, Anshu Yadav, special assignment to Indonesia at GGGI, who will discuss GGI Asia's portfolio. Mr. Yadav, you also have 5 minutes for your presentation, and you are now live. Please begin your presentation.
Hi, Jian. I hope you all can see my screen and you can hear me.
Yes.
Thank you. So let me start the presentation. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, one and all joining this session. Let me start with a brief background about the project, which is a power sector reform project in Himachal Pradesh, one of the states in India. In Himachal Pradesh, the utility function and planning for generation, transmission, and distribution, it is undertaken by different entities. Therefore, there was an existing gap in the way to how the system and network planning been done. The government of Himachal Pradesh wanted to undertake power sector reform by adopting a holistic and sustainable approach to develop the state's power sector. Integrated resource plan was key part of this strategy. The World Bank was supporting the government of Himachal Pradesh on the Himachal Pradesh Power Sector Development Program. The IRP was new concept for the implementation in the country. Therefore, the initiative was first of its kind in India. Based on GGGI's ongoing discussion with Himachal Pradesh and the World Bank, the government of Himachal Pradesh invited GGGI to partner and provide technical assistance for the program. GGGI had a letter of partnership with the World Bank, and GGGI signed a memorandum of undertaking with the government of Himachal Pradesh. Just to highlight that GGGI was the only technical assistance provider for the project. So we started the project. We started the project with multiple objectives, as you can see in the top left. Improving access to reliable electricity, optimizing utilization of states' energy resources, developing robust resource adequacy plan, and achieving the state's target of 100% green energy. In order to meet the objectives and addressing the challenges highlighted, GGI focused on three key areas in consultation with World Bank and the government of Himachal Pradesh. First was on the integrated resource plan to ensure the adequacy of generation capacity to meet the energy demand. Second was on network digitization plan to enhance network visibility and enable data availability. And third was on the training and capacity building and developing IRP framework. Just to give you a bit technical information, how we did the integrated resource plan. So long-term demand forecasting is the key step for IRP, which is integrated resource plan. Picture on the left side presents the 10-year demand forecast for Himachal Pradesh. Also, the plan for the Himachal Pradesh electricity generation has been analyzed in the picture. At the center, you can see the IRP model has been prepared for 4 scenarios or objective functions, which was mainly the cost minimization, revenue maximization, net zero, and the hybrid scenario of optimizing the first 3 cases. I'm presenting the most optimal scenario here, the hybrid scenario, as you can see on the right side. The study highlighted that there was a gap in the planned resource and demand forecast. Therefore, clearly, the existing plan was not sufficient to meet the electricity demand and was short by around 1,600 megawatts of solar capacity and 100 megawatt battery storage resources. This was the first input which we provided to the government of Himachal Pradesh on the power sector reform. The second component was on the network digitization plan, is also the key for undertaking an efficient and continuous IRP. GGI undertaken the as-is technology and data assessment to understand its sufficiency for the effective IRP. The picture on the left highlights all the data required and status of the availability of these data. Based on the status, GGI prepared a network digitization plan along with cost estimates and timelines, as indicated in the table on the right side, you can see. So basically, the network digitization plan provided information on digital barriers, challenges to be addressed by institutionalizing IRP. Further highlighted the key enablers required, such as communication infrastructure, central data repository, among others. The plan also recommended short-term, medium, and long-term action plan to ensure infrastructure readiness and determining appropriate budget for the same. The third key area of intervention was on the strengthening institutional and technical capacity. The power sector utilities have limited skills and capacity, mainly to maintain and operate a digitized system. This warranted establishing an institutional structure and framework to enhance and strengthen the capacity. GGI prepared a framework for IRP cell for the government of Himachal Pradesh, a centrally formed IRP cell under the Department of Energy, having representation from various departments and utilities, business functions have been recommended. GGI also prepared knowledge sharing and hands-on training materials for the utilities, organized workshops, which has been attended by sectoral experts. So let me come to my final slide, achievements of the power sector reform project. The IRP and its framework prepared in the project became the basis for the World Bank loan of USD 200 million. Another 50 million from the government of Himachal Pradesh as counterpart finance was earmarked for the program. Further, the project will potentially reduce GHG emission of 2.1 million tons of CO2 annually and create around 6,000 green jobs. In terms of impact, the project will help achieving the 100% green energy state target for the Himachal Pradesh, improve the performance of the state's own processes, institution as results-based financing instrument being used here, which seems like a appropriate solution for these kind of intervention. Strengthen the capacity of power utilities on digital IRP and institutionalizing it. With the replication and scale-up potential, this will be a lighthouse project for developing the resilient power sector infrastructure development and creating bankable investment opportunities to mobilize private sector investment nationally and in other developing economies. I thank you. Thank you for listening.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Yadav, for joining us virtually and for your informative presentation. Now, I'd like to invite Omar Raul Hernandez Garcia, the Latin American Caribbean GIS Senior Officer of Infrastructure Finance at GGGI, to present on GGGI's Latin American Caribbean's portfolio. So, Mr. Hernandez Garcia, you will also allowed to have 5 minutes for your presentation. And you are now live, so please begin your presentation.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and good evening. Let me share my screen, but while my screen loads, I'll be presenting the thematic bond technical assistance program we established in the region in Latin America and the Caribbean. Just to confirm, can you see my screen? Well,
yes, we can see you.
Yeah, okay, thanks. So this program, So we established this program with the objective of provide technical assistance to different LAC institutions and actors to complete or establish what we know as thematic bond issuances to raise capital for green and social projects. So in other words, what this project or this program was or is aimed to do is supporting countries and institutions to fund social and green projects in an alignment with best practices and real measure impacts. So this program was developed had 3 main components. The first one was focused on capacity building, where we were aiming or where we provide a series of workshops across the region, focusing on aspects such as what is a thematic bond, what is the relevance of issuing thematic bonds, but also on the technical side of how and why we should issue bonds. But also this level of intervention was focused on providing specific technical assistance to institutions to address detailed and financial aspects that sometimes they weren't able to solve. How do we do this? We do it by the component 2 of the program, which was supporting different institutions in developing what we call a thematic bond framework. In a nutshell, a thematic bond framework is a document where institutions state in what and how they're going to use the funds and what type of projects they're going to finance, whether they're green or social. So this means we support Ministry of Finances, development banks, in helping them deciding and advising them in what type of energy projects they could finance, what type of transport, infrastructure, and social aspects they could be financing through these level of interventions. We also support them in getting what we known as the second party opinion, which is a third party accreditation, or sorry, a third-party assessment that states that the document is aligned with best international practices and national practices that guarantee that the bond will not only be, let's say, funding social and green projects, but it's also contributing to the national and international climate goals and SDG goals. And finally, the program also included a component on communication and promotion practices, where we focus in two main aspects. One was showcasing the relevance and the process of issuing what we know as a thematic bond, but also in socializing the results and the impacts achieved through the issuances of bonds. And how do we do this, or what was the results of these three main aspects? So this program was implemented for 2 years, 2022 and 2023, with a budget of $300,000. Using these resources, we were able to support 5 different institutions across 3 countries, so Peru, Paraguay, and Colombia, to develop their thematic bond framework. Here, I like to highlight the Ministry of Economy and Finance, the Peru Ministry of Economy and Finance First Sustainability Linked Bond that was awarded as one of the most innovative bonds last year. But we also supported development banks from Peru and Paraguay in their first issuance in the market. And also we also supported, the Bogota city in the development of their framework. Thanks to this, and we were able to mobilize an estimated of 30 million plus in terms of investment mobilization, which offer us an important leverage ratio or use of funds, considering we achieve these results with the $300,000 from the KGNDF. But more importantly, this program wasn't only focused in supporting financial institutions, right? It also allowed us to train more than 750 colleagues and representatives from stock exchange, multilateral development banks, financial institutions, and so on, in aspects of why is the relevance of issuing a bond, but also what type of impacts we can achieve. And just to showcase the case of Paraguay, thanks to the program, first, we were able to establish the thematic bond market in the country, allowing the first issuance for $13 million, but more relevant, demonstrating the local investors and demonstrating the interest of the local investors in keep buying and keep investing in social and green projects. And thanks to this, this year, the bank was able to issue another 2 thematic bonds using the framework that was developed. And just some of the impacts that we are actually seeing in the country right now, and to wrap up, will be that more than 1,000 families have been directly benefited. And we also have 320 people getting affordable housing, and we are also getting environmental benefits in terms of reforestation and conservation areas. So I'm gonna stop here, but thank you.
All right. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Hernandez Garcia, for the enlightening presentation from the Latin American Caribbean region. Yeah. So our final case study will be presented by Chang-Sun Jang, the Deputy Director and Lead in Transport and Sustainable Mobility at GGGI. So Mr. Jang will share insights on the presentation portfolio funded under KGNDF. So Mr. Jang, you also have 5 minutes for your presentation. Yeah.
Thank you, Jian. My name is Chang-Sun Jang. I'm the Deputy Director and leading the Transport and Sustainable Mobility in GGGI. Today, I would like to present GGGI's transport, the priority area, and how to cooperate with the Korea Green Trust Fund based on our priority area. So our priority is to enhance the members' green growth transformation. members' green growth transformation in the transport sector, we identified the 3 areas. First one, we support to achieving integrated transport system. Second is improving transport accessibility, and we also support them to reduce the carbon emission in the transport sector. So based on the priority area, we identified the 6 the focus area: green mobility and green infrastructure, including the electric, the BRT, bus designate, and smart system and public transport. And also the transport is one of the biggest area, carbon emission, the generation. So that's why there is a big potential to utilize the carbon mechanism to distribute and facilitate the adoption of the sustainable transport. And also we are looking for the alternative fuel as well. So most of our focus area is just for the road transport. So that's why we have to see the maritime and aviation also as well. So in this slide, I'm very happy to see and hear that some of them is a very good progress with the Ministry of Ocean and Fishery for the Pacific area. So I'm very proud of this project, and I'm very thankful for the KLU, and also there is our the regional team. And so based on the GGI's focus area, the transport of community practice that has tried to identify and develop a diverse set of the Korea Green Trust Fund sustainable transport project and program in collaboration with our country teams and regional transport leads. So in case in Mexico, a very good success story led by the Jose support to the Mexico government and the bus operator to replace the internal combustion engine to electric vehicle. So through the Korea Green Trust Fund, we support the technical, legal, and documentation for electric bus public tenders, and also that we support them to set up their carbon mecha roadmap for the government. And this is a completed project, and based on this one, we see that the more expansion of the e-buses in Mexico. And currently, we have a new project in Togo and Ethiopia. This is very typical project with the infrastructure. For the Togo, we support the Togo government to enhance their urban transport infrastructure and transport system. And also for the Ethiopia, we're working very closely with the Korea Exim Bank to introduce electric buses on BRT line, BRT4 and BRT5 line. And beside the 3 transport project, also that we support the other 3 projects supported by the Korea Green Trust Fund, including Ecuador and Cote d'Ivoire and Fiji as well. So, but GGI, very leading the international organization in the transport sector. We support more than 20 member countries currently ongoing project. That means there is a very big opportunity to apply the Korea Green Trust Fund to enhance our ongoing transport project or expand our new initiative at the members where there is no any sustainable transport initiative or looking for our support. So please reach out to us to develop Korea Green Trust Fund, maybe the HQ and me and Eileen, the senior researcher, and also that you can access the regional transport lead, including the MENA area, Mohamed Nassa, and Asia Ananta Pandey, and also the Fiji, the Julia and Holganel. So thank you for inviting us and then having me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zhang, for concluding our case studies with such valuable information. Yeah, thank you. So now we have 2 minutes left, and we will have a very brief Q&A session, and we welcome questions from both the audience here and those joining us online. We will, due to the time constraint, we will only have 1, questions.
Yeah, because we already have running out of time, around 10 minutes. So everybody is expecting for having a coffee break. So,
microphone. Is it already on? Okay. So I just wanted to recognize what is also underlying what the speakers have said, which is that this year we've really tried to accelerate the impact of our work, scale the impact of our work, and increase the quality of our work. Now, why do we want to do that? It's obviously important, but what we recognize is that there is a compound impact that we can gain if we are pushing every day to do better, bigger, and faster. And that's how we can address these critical issues within the world. So what you're also seeing, for instance, on the bond side, is an escalation of our bond work. So more countries, first in markets in those countries, and they are causing a ripple effect. So not just what we're doing, the market is seeing that this is possible, and then they're replicating it. Similarly, on the transport side, now 20 countries that we're working in, they are often the first in market. So I've seen first e-mobility buses, first e-scooters, the e-buses replicated, for instance, from the capital of Mexico to different secondary cities in Mexico. And again, on the work that Antti has said, a very catalytic fund that will have a huge impact. So it's just to recognize these are examples, but I hope you are excited by the speed, the acceleration that you're seeing through the speakers today. And I just want to say thank you for all of the hard work. I know how much hard work has gone into the KGNDF, and I really think it's paying off. So thank you. Thank you so much to Ministry of Economy and Finance as well. Thank you.
Yeah. So lastly, thank you to all of our speakers and audience. And your interest in this event was so much encouraging. Yeah, so I will conclude our session here. So thank you for your participation.
Very important DDG and also the head of planning and implementation. So I have my team also here. So he will keep also in touch with your staff if anything, and so let's get in close in touch. Thank you very much for this Hai cầm bếp sao này đây đây cuốn chân nắm cờ làm ông đấy chào cho nên họ cái du lịch cho con làm sao thả lòng mà cho nên họ cả tiếp So I really there's no Thank you.
Uh, So distinguished guests, so we would like to start our session 2 of this great Korea Day event. And so in 3 minutes at 10:50, so we will start.
But we need more photos. She needs more photos. Well, I don't know. Like this, the people. Shared.
So ladies and gentlemen, so now I would like to start the second session of Korea Partnership Day. So please draw attention to please draw your attention to the floor. So indeed, our second session is about the ASEAN-Korean Cooperation Fund. So indeed, Korean government has two types of ODA projects. One is this project-based one, and the other one is programs. So in the perspective of ODA, program-based ODA, the ROK MOFA has three types of funds. So in this great opportunity, I would like to introduce our first speaker, Ellen Zhang, from ROK MOFA. So she has been working in the management of the AKCF. Okay, so now, so let me just, so yeah. Okay, so Ellen, so can you please introduce yourself and start your presentations?
Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to you all, and thank you for having me today. It's an honor to introduce the ASEAN-Korea Cooperation Fund to you. My name is Ellen Zhang, and I'm the program consultant from the ASEAN ROK Development Cooperation Program Management Team, which is AKPMT. And I work in the ASEAN Cooperation Division of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Korea, serving as a liaison between the ASEAN Secretariat and our ministry. And I'm responsible for managing, reviewing projects and promoting AKCF. The ASEAN Korea Cooperation Fund, AKCF, along with the Mekong Korea Cooperation Fund and the BIMPIA ROK Cooperation Fund, is one of our government's representative funds for ASEAN. So the AKCF is the oldest and largest of the three funds. It was established in 1990 to support the various cooperation projects aimed at enhancing the Korea-ASEAN relationship, following the launch of the Korea-ASEAN Sectoral Dialogue Partnership in 1989. To date, it has supported 430 projects, and the AKCF is fully contributed by the Korean government. As our government continues to develop the Korea-ASEAN relationship, the size of the fund has also steadily increased. Initially, the Korean government contributed 1 million annually in 1990, and by this year, the amount has grown to 28 million per year, with a cumulative contribution of $201 million. So if you look at the graph, you can see that the cooperation fund has been growing. In 2022, during the Korean ASEAN Summit, our government announced the Korean ASEAN Solidarity Initiative, which is KASI in short, as a regional policy tailored to ASEAN. It sets 8 key priority tasks to strengthen practical and strategic partnerships with ASEAN, one of which is to expand resources of the ASEAN-related cooperation funds. And also last week at the ASEAN ROK Summit, ASEAN and Korea established the Comprehensive Strategic Partnership, which is CSP, with the ASEAN, and this is the highest level between ASEAN and its dialogue partners. So over the next 5 years from 2022, we plan to double the 3 major funds, increasing the annual contribution of the AKCF to 32 million by 2027. This is the goal and objective of the AKCF. And next, this is also the framework for the AKCF, which you can check it on our website. And this is the current priorities. We have 5 priority areas, which is public health, education and training, culture and tourism, economic resilience, and environment, safety, and peace. And we also have this AKCF manual. You can download this on our website. It has an overview of AKCF, and you can also check the project formulation and approval process. About the eligibility of proponents and implementing agencies, the AKCF are available to government departments of Korea and ASEAN and nonprofit organizations, universities, and the ASEAN Secretariat, and also the ASEAN intergovernmental organizations, and also international organizations like GGGI. While international organizations are eligible, they may face some practical constraints due to their own administrative regulations. So prior consultation is recommended. And please note that due to the nature of the fund, individuals and profit-making organizations are not eligible for support. For projects seeking support from the AKCF, they must meet some certain criteria. So as mentioned earlier regarding the fund's objective, they must contribute to enhancing the Korea-ASEAN cooperation relationships and align with the 3 ASEAN community blueprints, which are political security, social, cultural, and economic. And furthermore, they should comply with our government's Indo-Pacific strategy and the Korean ASEAN Solidarity Initiative, KASI, and also the ASEAN's outlook on the Indo-Pacific, and also, especially in the 4 areas of cooperation, oceans, connectivity, SDGs, and economy. This is the proposal review and approval process. The AKPMT in Jakarta accepts the project proposals via email. And instead of submitting the proposal immediately, it is recommended to first draft a concept paper, briefly introducing your project, and send an inquiry via email. Once you submit a proposal, the AKPMT screens it to ensure it's aligned with the fund's objectives, and then it undergoes initial review and consultation with the Korea mission to ASEAN. During this process, the executing agency may be asked to revise and supplement the proposal. And the third circle, the next proposal is to send to Korea for a first review. And during this review, there will be a review committee formed, and it comprises of officials from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and relevant departments, and also ASEAN and development experts. Then the proposal is passed to the ASEAN, and this process takes the longest as it needs to pass through the ASEAN Secretariat, subcommittees, and the Committee of Permanent Representatives in the stage. And finally, when the ASEAN side approves the project, a letter is sent to the Korean side for final approval from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And when the ministry approves the project, it can commence. So this entire process takes about 6 to 12 months, and maybe sometimes takes more if the project scale is large or it spans among multiple sectors. From 2019 to the present, the number of the proposal approved each year has been around 6 to 7, excluding the COVID period. And last year, we have received 49 proposals, of which 7 are in process of approval, and then 6 are being revised in consultation with NEC and PMT, and 63 were rejected or withdrawn. Currently, there are 26 projects being implemented, with the highest number in culture and tourism, which is 6 projects, and education and training, which are 5 projects. In terms of the funding amount, the total amount of ongoing projects is about 95 million, with the environment accounting for the largest share of 26 due to the large scale of the 3 projects in this area. If we look closer at each area, the education and training sector consists of 5 projects. And the team project is specifically targets priority TVET fields in ASEAN, implementing exchange programs and on-the-job training in areas such as computer and information services, construction and electrical sectors, as well as tourism. And the next sector is culture and tourism, which consists of 6 projects. The AKMF, the ASEAN Korean Music Festival, is a notable example. And the festival will also be held next month in Laos. The next sector is economic sector, which consists of 4 projects, and one of which is the EDS project, supporting the participation of ASEAN women entrepreneurs in the digital economy. And the environmental sector includes 3 projects, including CASTA, which supports policy, scientific, and technological measures to mitigate air pollution and its negative impact on the health of ASEAN citizens. There are also waste management project implemented by GGGI, and a methane reduction project is being launched also by GGGI, and this will be introduced after my presentation. In the safety area, we have 4 projects, 2 for disaster management and 2 for cybersecurity. And lastly, we have peace and connectivity. There are 2 projects also in each of these fields. So about the way forward, we plan to conduct the project review and approval process in a 2-track system. While we have been accepting project proposals year-round, starting this December, we will divide the process into a regular review for open calls, and also a special review by request from the Korean government and the ASEAN side. So this change is intended to ensure that we select superior project proposal rather than reviewing them in the order they are received. And additionally, we aim to improve the balance between Korea and ASEAN. While we have made some continuous efforts in this area and had some improvements, still proposals from ASEAN have been relatively low. So we will actively develop proposals from the ASEAN side and expand projects implemented jointly with Korea. And about our team, the AKCF are
and projects are managed and operated by the AKPMT, which was established in 2016. We consist of 8 members, including Korean and ASEAN nationals. So 6 of my members work with the ASEAN Secretariat in Jakarta, and 2 of us, including myself, work at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Korea. So AKPMT is responsible for reviewing project proposals, supporting proposal writing, discovering cooperation projects, and assisting in project implementation. And this is our website. It contains manuals, proposal forms, project status updates, and other important documents. And for inquiries, we have 2 channels. So if you are going to submit a proposal, please use the proposal email below. And yes, this is the final. And we had the 2023 annual report on the website, so you can download it also from our website. Thank you for listening to my presentation.
Thank you so much, Ms. Chang. Indeed, GGGI has built a strong cooperation with AKCF, and so far we have had 3 projects. One is solid waste management, which is underway, and the other one is kind of financial project named Green Map project. It has just ended. But recently we have launched the biggest ever single project funded by AKCF, which is on reduction of methane emissions. So we invited country representative of GGGI to Thailand, who has led this methane reduction project. So Jisoo, his name is Jisoo, and Jisoo will give a debriefing on this project. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Hello from Bangkok, Thailand. I'm Jisoo. I'm part of the Asia Regional Office and also the Thailand country rep. So as part of the Asia Regional Office, one of my responsibilities is to develop ASEAN cooperation projects. And as Director Ryu said, this ASEAN-Korea cooperation and methane mitigation is one of the largest one we've developed to date, and it's my pleasure to introduce the project to you. Next slide, please. So stop here. I was also attending the KGNDF presentations before this session, and I think those projects focus a lot on investment mobilization, so a lot of emphasis on mobilizing funding. And I think the AKCF, BKCF, and MKCF provides a nice balance to that, because these funds, they focus on providing a more fundamental foundation to do the things that our member countries want to do. So not just money, but capacity, equipment, or anything that you need to pursue a certain agenda. And having those two funding mechanisms in GGGI, I think, is a very fortunate position. So I just wanted to mention that before starting my presentation. Next slide. Next slide, please. Next slide. So just to give a very high-level overview of the project, is an ASEAN cooperation project, meaning the project has been reviewed and endorsed by the relevant working group in ASEAN. So it's not allowed, I would say, to put the word ASEAN in your project title. ASEAN have strict rules and processes as to what they consider a ASEAN cooperation project. So this, by undergoing the processes dictated by ASEAN with support from AKPMT, we were able to get it endorsed this August. So the aim is to support mitigation of methane emissions in all ASEAN member states. It has a budget of $20 million to be implemented over a period of 3 years. And if you look at the areas of support, it really covers everything. So we support the ASEAN member states develop enabling policies and institutions. We improve the MRV because methane emissions from agri and livestock, they don't have a point source. It's a bit more sophisticated. So countries are looking for support in this area. And third, perhaps the most important item of all is designing, financing, and implementing methane reduction sub-projects. I'll delve into this a bit later. And finally, promoting regional dialogue and partnership. This idea was initiated by CLUE, the Korean Liaison Unit, and it was handed over to us to develop in the Asia Regional Office. So our sincere thanks to Director Ryu and his team. Next slide. Next slide. So why methane? So I think everybody knows about the Paris Agreement, and the motivation to focus on methane came about because I think there's a realization it's not enough to focus on CO2. So we have to focus on the other greenhouse gases as well. And methane is one of the important anthropogenic greenhouse gas after CO2. And there is about 2 years ago or 3 years ago, there was a lot of discussion at the high level international fora on what we should do about methane as a global community. Next. And all those discussions culminated into something called the Global Methane Pledge. So it's led by the US and EU, and countries are being asked to join the pledge. Now, if you join, that's not the end. You have to promise to do certain things. So as you can see in the third bullet point, you have to draft national methane reduction plans. This you could think of as more detailed versions focusing on methane in each country's NDC. Then you have to implement regulations, policies, and projects that, actually carry out the things you've put in the plan. You have to enhance data collection and transparency and do a whole lot of other things to meet the target in the pledge. So as you can see, most countries in Southeast Asia have signed the pledge, notable exceptions being Thailand and Laos, but I believe Thailand is probably going to become a pledgee next year or the year after next. Next slide. So when we were drafting the proposal, of course, we had to review and align our proposal with the various ASEAN ROK cooperation strategies and mechanisms. So some of the things worth mentioning here is the Korea-ASEAN Solidarity Initiative. And then we have the ROK cooperation funds, as Aileen mentioned before me, AKCF, BKCF, and MKCF. And finally, we have the Partnership for ASEAN ROK Methane Action, PARMA. This was announced at the 23rd ASEAN ROK Summit. It's an umbrella initiative. So you can think of this ASEAN ROK Methane Cooperation project that GGGI is implementing as the first project on the PARMA. Next slide. The development and review process took some time, and it was a very useful lesson for us to understand what ASEAN is looking for and how ASEAN as an institution works to review and approve proposals from international organizations. So it started in 2022 May, and the final approval was received in 2024 August. So maybe one of the lessons learned from GGGI's side is that doing an ASEAN cooperation project is fairly uncommon and difficult. So once we enter this space, I think it's important to try to maintain that institutional knowledge and then also share that with AKCF and the ROK MOFA to tell them what's going on within ASEAN, how we can better contribute to their mission, what are the approaches they're looking for, so that you have this symbiotic relationship between the two organizations to better meet ASEAN's needs. Next slide. So the governance of the project, next slide. Generally speaking, ASEAN projects usually require a project steering committee. So that's the diagram on the right, shaded in green. And it's composed of the relevant working group. You can see the first bullet point is the ASEAN Working Group on Climate Change. You have the ASEAN Secretariat serving the AWGCC, ROK Mission to ASEAN or AKPMT, and the implementing entity. But in this case, because the project is so large and we have a lot of on-the-ground activities being implemented, that regional level governance mechanism was deemed insufficient. So we also placed governance at the national level. So each ASEAN member state is going to have something called the Methane Reduction Committee or some other name, and they're going to oversee the activities that are happening on the ground. Next slide. So this shows the composition of a methane reduction committee. So let's say if it's Thailand, you have the committee comprised of senior officials from line ministries, Department of Environment, Department of Agriculture and Livestock, Department of Energy. These are the sectors that emit the most methane. So it's natural that they be part of the methane reduction committee. And you have several other members who can contribute to making good decisions on how the project should be run. And under that, you have GGGI and partners. And maybe one thing I want to mention is that you also have a national focal point from AWGCC, so that this person, when they attend the AWGCC meeting at the ASEAN Secretariat, knows what's going on in this project. Next slide. And this is the Regional Project Steering Committee. Their role will be very high level on maybe promoting or risk management, discussing subsequent programs, stuff like that. Next slide. Next slide. So there are four outputs here. And output one, starting from the left, is developing enabling policies and institutions. So if you remember, once a country signs the pledge or is even thinking about signing the methane pledge, they need to have a plan in place. And one of the key deliverables of this output one is to support the drafting of national methane reduction plans. If the country already has such a plan, we can revise it, update it, help them incorporate more precise data or projections into the plan so that it can be implemented better. And part of it, as setting up institutions, is of course establishing and operationalizing the methane reduction committees. So we share the terms of reference, how often do they meet, what do they decide, what do they discuss, things like that, and get their approval so that the committee can start functioning. Output two is improving MRV, and I think you can see that the activities are intended to be carried out in sequence. So we did not specify in detail what we're going to do, because what we're going to do is to be determined in consultation with the MRC. And I think this flexibility and a lot of delegation of what needs to be done to the ASEAN member states themselves is a defining feature of this project, and something that government officials in our member countries really appreciate, because they get to make the decisions on what they need. So once we do a gap analysis, we provide them with options as to what they can do, and they can choose which activities they want to do given the budget constraint to improve methane emission measurement. The third is designing, financing, and implementing methane reduction projects. So this is where we choose, together with the MRC, the Methane Reduction Committee, a sector of priority. It can be agriculture, livestock, fugitive emissions from oil and gas plants, or covering landfills. And once we choose, let's say, a farming community of rice farmers, we design a specific project together with MRC and local partners that will, let's call them sub-projects, that will result in actual methane reduction. And finally, output four is promoting regional dialogue and partnership. Implementing this project in every other member state at the same time will yield I think, a wealth of knowledge and lessons learned. So we want to make sure that lessons learned is shared among the ASEAN member states. How much time do I have left?
So approximately you have 10.
10, okay. Next, please. Next. Next slide. So I wanted to focus on this output a bit. So implementing methane reduction projects. And I think if you have been working in this methane reduction area for quite some time, one of the most prominent examples of methane reduction projects is alternate wetting and drying of rice, right? So the way we look at it, our approach to this is that maybe 20 years ago, we still did AWD, alternate wetting and drying of rice, but the goal was not really methane reduction. Climate change was not in vogue as it is now back then. The focus was more on reducing input cost and conserving water use. So the way they tried to do that was sending extension officers to the farming communities, training farmers to do alternate wetting and drying, right? And trying to convince them that this is good for you because you get to save cost and the country as a whole gets to save water. So let's call that model 1.0 of AWD. And now if you look at any GCF proposal on AWD rice or what international organizations are doing, it's much more complicated than that. You have carbon project developers, you have rice exporters, you have the farming communities, you have huge international food companies as the buyer of the carbon credits, and you have the bank there doing a lot of, so it resembles a very complicated map of contractual relationships just to get the farmers to practice AWD and also give them some incentive through the sale of carbon credits, right? So the rice exporter comes in, for example, because it's difficult for you to coordinate and train the farmers yourself, let's say if it's GGI, so you rely on the rice exporter who has a contractual relationship with the farmers, and probably they send their staff to train the farmers on how to farm their particular brand of rice to practice AWD. And maybe if you sell the carbon credits resulting from these AWD projects, you rely on the exporting company to distribute the sale proceeds to the farmers. So there's a lot of moving pieces there, and we don't want to do that. Our goal is to think about, okay, this is version 2.0. What would be the next iteration of this model? Because if you think about it, maybe most countries will not want to sell carbon credits from their agricultural sector anymore. Maybe it becomes part of their unconditional target in NDC, in which case the project structure is going to be much more streamlined. Maybe you have the Department of Agriculture doing everything. They track what the farmers are doing, and they are the ones, if they enter Article 6.42 and sell the ITMOs, they are the ones to distribute the proceeds to the farmer. So we want to sit down with the government and try to formulate a very streamlined structure that's going to be applicable in 3 to 5 years' time. And I think the ASEAN member states, they also see a lot of value in that. The current model, with everybody in it, I think it's a very transitory one. So that's why we're focusing on what I just mentioned. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Mindful of time. Next slide. So we expect this project to be approved in November 15th. And no, it was approved in August 5th, but we expect funding to reach GGGI on November 15th. And that's when the project officially starts. And it's going to go on for 3 years. And we hope, being very lucky, in all honesty, to be implementing this huge, significant project to have some presentable impacts and outcomes to show both to ROK, MOFA, AKCF, and the ASEAN member states. So that's the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jisoo. We had two presentations, one from the Yerim on the introduction of the AKCF, and the other one is the AKCMM as a representative GGGI AKCF project. So now let me start the Q&A. So if you have any questions on the AKCF, so just raise your hand and let me know. Yeah, I'll give you floor then. Indeed, I can't see any questions from the floor. Yes.
Okay, once again, let me introduce. My name is Chang Sun, and the Transport and Social Mobility in GGGI. Actually, I saw your presentation, and then there's a diverse of the project, ongoing project, and then your priority area. So actually, I'm very interested in the transport through the AKCF. So if I want to develop some transport project for the AKCF, so is there some guidance or some your idea for the transport? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Currently, we don't have any transport project ongoing. So first of all, I would like to say it's very welcome for your proposal. And though we have these priority sectors, 5 priority sectors, even though the proposal doesn't fit into those areas, we all accept those other proposals from other sectors. And I think transportation could, I don't know which kind of project you are going to propose, but we are going to change our priority sectors maybe from 2026, which will include connectivity. So I think maybe transport could fit into that sector. And if you are trying to propose, we are going to open our public call this December to maybe next, I think January or February. So please submit your proposal during those times.
Let me add a little to what Yerim mentioned. Based on my experience in developing the AKCMM. So AKCF is quite interesting funding source to us, to the GGGI. But unlike unlike BKCF, which we are managing in these organizations, AKCF only allows a regional project. So in principle, so they don't allow the single target, a single country project. So it was kind of challenging for us to develop the regional projects. So if you have any kind of concrete idea on transport, so you'd better think about it in regional perspective. So any other questions from the floor? So I would like to have additional questions. So if not, I will designate a table to have, yes. Yes.
Thank you. So I was interested in you mentioning the regional nature of projects because in the Pacific we have various regional organizations and also the regional leaders grouping. Pacific Islands Regional Forum, which is the secretariat of Pacific Islands Forum. So I was wondering, when we talk about a regional project in terms of decarbonizing maritime transport for the region, how would you maybe take that forward to maybe pass the project conception to a project proposal from your experience? Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your question. So indeed, it is a little different from the AKCF. But when I started this session, so indeed, I forgot to introduce myself and my teams. So responding to your questions, so let me just briefly introduce myself and then give my answers to you. So my name is Hak Seok, and I'm the head of Korea Liaison Unit, which is managing the relations between GGGI and Korea. So in managing and maintaining the relations with Korean and government, so we contribute to development of the project ideas into ODA project or AKCF or any other programs. So one of our efforts regarding the decarbonization of the coastal resilience or maritime sector. So we communicate with the Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries to find some really suitable and appropriate project in the kind of vulnerable regions in the region, I mean the Pacific regions. And so we found common area to utilize GGGI's expertise in transport. And so as a pilot of that efforts, so we agreed to explore the potential sector to use GGGI's expertise on transport to the maritime areas. So as a result, so we developed the decarbonization of the port by introducing e-mobility technologies into into vessels and ports. So we communicated with potential target countries, including yours, Fiji and Vanuatu and Tonga. So this project are basically 3-country project, which can be translated into regional ones. So we are continuously communicating with the ministry and when to start and how to facilitate the process. So we agreed to start as soon as possible. So we would like to show the tangible outcomes. So in the due course. Thank you. Yes, if you have any questions from the middle, so from the table in the middle, so can you please?
I think there is a question online. If I could, maybe I will ask on behalf of what was questioned online. Can NGO submit a proposal? Does the proposal need to have ASEAN public sector organization as a local partner or private entities is okay?
We accept a proposal from the NGOs, and if they need to include the other private entities in the process, you could consult with the AKPMT, and if we think that is appropriate, it could be proposed.
Yes, any other questions? And if so, it'll be warmly welcomed by me. Okay, so indeed, I can't see any other questions from the floor and online. And so I would like to wrap up this session. And so after a 10-minute coffee break, so we will start our session 3. So indeed, our session 3 features kind of brown bag format. And so when we preparing for this session, so we just named that lunch working lunch session as Munch and Munch and kind of, how can I say? I forgot the verb. Munch and mingle. Yes, M&M. So it should be quite informal, but we invited Korean ODA agencies and will give kind of introductory kind of slot to each representative from the ODA agencies. So after the short introductions, so you may just have kind of informal conversation over kind of our humble lunch. So this is the kind of a rationale to build a partnership or friendship between us and so you interested participants and the ODA agencies. So now let me wrap up this session and please give your warm applause to Yalin and Jisoo. Thank you.